Shakespeare. Shakespeare is the world's greatest playwright, a man whose influence is still powerfully felt today. Very little is known about the bard's life, but we do know he was born in 1564 in the small Warwickshire town of Stratford-upon-Avon, before becoming an actor in London and writing his first play at around the age of 25. He died in 1616, aged 52, leaving a legacy of 38 plays, 154 sonnets, and 2 longer poems. And his works are as highly regarded today as they were when they were first performed. As Ben Jonson said in the preface to Shakespeare's first folio of plays, he was not of an age but for all time. Shakespeare's birthplace. Shakespeare was born in this large, half-timbered house on Henley Street in Stratford-upon-Avon in 1564. His father John was a glove maker, and the house also served as his workshop. His mother Mary was the daughter of a wealthy gentleman farmer. Shakespeare was the third of 8 children and John and Mary's first son. He lived here until his mid-20s, spending all his childhood and the first 5 years of married life with Anne Hathaway in his family's home. Mary Arden's farm. Shakespeare's mother, Mary Arden, grew up in this delightful farmhouse in Wilmcote, and the young William would have come to visit his grandparents here in the 1570s. Today it is preserved as a working Tudor farm, and it's possible to see many crafts and skills from Shakespeare's day, including threshing and bread making. Anne Hathaway's cottage. Shakespeare came from Henley Street to court Anne Hathaway at her family's beautiful thatched farmhouse in Shottery. The rooms are filled with furniture from Anne's day, including the carved oak Hathaway bed. The beautiful cottage, garden and orchard had to the house's romantic charm. Shakespeare married Anne in 1582 when he was 18 and she was 26. New Place. Shakespeare bought New Place, then the second largest house in Stratford-upon-Avon, in 1597, when he had established himself as a famous playwright. He lived in his new family home when he was not in London until his death in 1616, and is believed to have written some of his latest plays, like The Tempest here. The brick building was pulled down in the 18th century, and today only the foundations remain. A beautiful Tudor knot garden with the traditional formal arrangement of box hedges, flowers and herbs stands on the site. Royal Shakespeare Company. The RSC is one of the most famous classical theatre companies in the world. Based in Stratford-upon-Avon, it was officially established in 1961, although Shakespeare's plays had been regularly formed in Stratford since 1875, and aims to bring Shakespeare to life for audiences of all ages. Its critically acclaimed productions are staged in the Swan or Royal Shakespeare theatres, and also tour around the country and the world. Shakespeare's Globe. Built in 1599 by the Lord Chamberlain's men, Shakespeare's Theatre Company, The Globe flourished for 14 years. It was where some of Shakespeare's plays were first performed, and it is highly likely that he would also have acted on its stage. Completely destroyed by fire in 1613, when a spark from a stage cannon ignited the thatch roof, the wooden O was reconstructed in 1997 using historical sources. William Shakespeare's Life and Times. William Shakespeare was born in 1567 to John, a glover, and Mary, the daughter of a gentleman farmer. He died in 1616, aged 52, and is buried in Holy Trinity Church in Stratford-upon-Avon. He married Anne Hathaway when he was 18 and had 3 children with her, Susanna and twins, Judith and Hamnet. He acted with the Lord Chamberlain's Men, later the King's Men, in London, first at the Rose and then at the Globe. He would have performed in front of Elizabeth I and James I. He wrote 38 plays and introduced at least 1,700 new words into the English language. He is believed to have written the now lost play Cardenio. He also wrote 154 sonnets, which explore the form's traditional themes of love and time. One of the most famous is Sonnet 18, which contrasts eternal love with the transitory nature of the seasons. And this is Sonnet 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Rough winds do shake the darling buds of May, and summer's lease hath all too short a date. Sometimes too hot the eye of heaven shines, and often is his gold complexion dimmed, and every fair from fair sometimes declines, by chance or nature's changing course untrimmed. But thy eternal summer shall not fade, nor lose possession of that fair thou owest. Nor shall death brag thou wanderest in his hands. Made a mistake.
Maybe shade. Go on.
When in eternal lines to time thou growest, so long as men can breathe or eyes can see, so long lives this, and this gives life to thee. Romeo and Juliet. O Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo? Act 2, Scene 1. In the most famous love story of all time, a pair of star-crossed lovers defy their feuding families and secretly marry, only to commit suicide in a tragic misunderstanding. Shakespeare's early tragedy about the conflict between romantic love and familial duty is one of his most popular plays and has inspired countless other works. A Midsummer Night's Dream. Methought I was enamoured of an ass. Act 4, Scene 1. The course of true love never did run smooth, and in Shakespeare's delightful comedy, love is not always what it seems. For one night, 4 young Athenian lovers, Bottom, his fellow craftsman, and the fairy queen, Titania, are left hopelessly entangled by the mischievous magic of the fairy king, Oberon, and his helper, Puck. before everything is happily resolved. That's Henry V. Cry, God for Harry, England and St. George. Act 1, Scene 1. With Falstaff, his former roguish companion dead, the nimble-footed madcap Prince Hal turns his back on his past and becomes a heroic yet ruthless young king. The last play in Shakespeare's second group of historic plays shows a man prepared to sacrifice personal loyalty for his overall kingly ambition. In this great play of nationhood, which explores the glories and honours of war, Shakespeare shows that a good king isn't always a good man. Hamlet. Alas, poor Yorick. Act 5, Scene 1. Widely regarded as Shakespeare's greatest play, Hamlet powerfully dramatises the young Prince of Denmark's agony of decision as he struggles to avenge his murdered father by killing his usurping uncle, Claudius. His grief and uncertainty reach a peak in his famous soliloquy, which begins, "To be or not to be, that is the question." Every actor aspires to play Hamlet, and the role has been played by many celebrated people, from Laurence Olivier to Kenneth Branagh. Twelfth Night. Some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. Act 2, Scene 5. If music be the food of love, play on, declares Duke Orsino at the start of Twelfth Night. And Shakespeare's comedy of mistaken identities and mismatched lovers is famous for its wistful portrayals of unrequited love. But the darker subplot sees the pleasure-loving Sir John Belch scheme to bring down Olivia's social climbing, puritanical steward Malvolio, giving a crueler and bittersweet edge to its romance. Macbeth. Fair is foul, and foul is fair. Act 1, Scene 1. When three witches foretell that Macbeth will become king of Scotland, Macbeth and his wife murder the reigning King Duncan, and then, unable to turn back from their chosen path, anyone who stands in their way. Shakespeare's darkest and bloodiest tragedy explores the evils of ambition and is thought to allude to the Scottish King James's accession to the English throne in 1603.